The following is a continuation of the Bechtloff Podcast and may contain adult content, language, and humor which may not be suitable for all audiences. Your discretion is strongly advised.
All right, looks like we're live in exile over here on Luke's channel, where we'll be for the foreseeable future.
Unless something better happens.
All right, so I am looking into other things. For instance, I have the animated videos up on BitChute. I am looking into possibly doing Twitch streams instead. We'll see. Things are just all up in the air, and I apologize, folks. Also, and I'll reiterate this a little later too, Luke doesn't have monetization, so, you know, I wouldn't mind him just taking super chats since, you know, he's kind enough to host us, but there are no super chats right now. If you really want to do something similar, what I can do is, obviously there's a PayPal link down there. What I'll do is I'll check the PayPal link, my PayPal periodically. If you send like $1 or something with a message, I'll read it. You know, I won't read your name. You can even put, like, you know, your YouTube name in there, and whatever message you want to read. I'll check that periodically throughout the night. I know that's not super chats. I know it's not as convenient as super chat, but that's all I can do for you right now, folks. You know, if you want to do that, that's an option. I will check it throughout the stream and read any messages you guys send. And I'll mention that again a couple times throughout the stream, since that's sort of a new thing for people that are hopping in. All right, so we got a lot to cover this week, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, a bit lighter news, I guess. I discovered a new DSP. Well, not new. Apparently, this motherfucker been doing this for like 10 years, but new to me. Was it they used to say, like, on NBC back in the day when they were doing the summer reruns? If you haven't seen it, it's new to you. and I haven't seen this guy. This guy's name is Wings of Redemption. And I threw the video up on my Gab and on the Facebook. Look, I don't know if you can maybe bring this guy up or just search Wings of Redemption or whatever.
Will do.
I stumble across this video. It just pops up in my YouTube recommendations. And it's much like DSP, all the videos about him on YouTube, I think he's completely left YouTube, are just people doing like fail videos on this idiot, right? So I stumble into this video and I'm like a minute into it, and I know I've got some top shelf fucking lolcow right here. That top shelf, the kind you only break out on your birthday, you know? I am looking at in this video of a 500-pound obese piece of shit. He looks even bigger in the video I saw than this picture Luke has up here. 500-pound motherfucking piece of shit, right? And he's playing this, like, just the absolute most generic FPS that I could not identify to save my immortal soul. You know, Call of Duty, the Call of Duty game or whatever. Generic piece of shit FPS. Morbidly obese motherfucker. Has autistic man-child tantrum when he's trolled. Starts crying about my livelihood. It was just top shelf. It's like somebody refined the essence of DSP.
Here's his. I think this is his banner in YouTube.
Wow. So I proceeded to binge a lot of videos on this guy. And he's something special. He is something special, my friends. Apparently he got his fans to he crowdfunded a weight loss surgery thing from his fans, and now he's like too chicken shit to get the surgery, and his fans are getting kind of pissed at him because he's got the money for it now. wow, it was something special. So first of all, he's playing shitty ass Call of Duty, Madden Edition or something. I don't know what the fuck he's playing. I don't care. But he's playing this shit, and everybody's trolling him. Like it's reached the point, I guess, with this guy where people will log on to play with him, and like everybody, like I guess there's no friendly fire, but everyone on the opposing team is all about killing him, and everyone on his team is about fucking with him. Like literally, somebody starts like shimmying back and forth like they're dancing in front of him when he's trying to snipe people. It's something special. So I highly recommend checking out Wings of Redemption. Let me throw the one video up for you, because this is the top shelf one. You'll find great moments in this one. Let me okay, so, like literally like a couple minutes in, and I know that this guy, like I know everything there is to know about this guy at a glance. A few choice things that oh, he's also getting mad at the chat when they're trying to help him. They're trying to tell him how to avoid getting trolled or whatever, and he's just flipping out on him. Like he was talking about how he can't get any other jobs because he's such an obese piece of shit. By his own admission, he can't stand up for more than like 5 minutes without his legs hurting. What else? They asked him something about like what interest do you have, and he's like, I don't have any interest. Video games were my interest, and I tried to make that my job. Like he's just so sad, and he hates his fucking life now because he's like he's just circling the drain. Like he had like a crying fit about how Call of Duty ruined his life. It's like, no, dude, Call of Duty didn't ruin your life. Okay, you ruined your life. Call of Duty was just the shitty piece of shit thing you fixated on in your fucking autism. You almost shouldn't have this picture of him exercising, Luke, because that is not an accurate portrayal of this man. That I believe is an isolated incident we're looking at right here. There we go. There he is. There he is in all his glory. Exercise bike with clothes hanging all over it in the background. That's just fucking fantastic. He is just so sad. Like, there's times I'm honestly embarrassed to like video games and have them as a hobby when I see someone like this. Because when you say, like, I'm a gamer, this is what people think. They think of some obese fucking man-child. Yeah, he is the South Park character come to life. Yeah, no shit. They think of some obese man-child playing some shitty Call of Duty game and streaming it. So yeah, Wings of Redemption, folks. If you like DSP, you'll like Wings of Redemption. I'm suddenly a big fan. I'm a big fan of Wings of Redemption. Somebody says, Bechtloff, did you have to do this to me? I had to watch a Gaijin Goomba video already. Now you're talking about a guy who looks like a Goomba. See. Yeah, the Wings of Redemption. I cannot recommend this stuff enough. You search them on YouTube, you're going to find a lot of people talking about his downfall. Oh, speaking of downfalls, I don't have a ton to say about this, but Down the Rabbit Hole just put out a video on the on Spoonie on his illustrious career. I highly recommend checking it out. It's not really for lulz. It's more of a just the facts kind of video. But like I said, greatly recommend it. All right, so moving on. All right, I said this already. I'm just going to go over it real quick. I'm going to go over it several times on the stream, so forgive the repetition, but I want to make sure it sinks in. So, like I said, if there's no super chat available and there's nothing I can do about that, Luke doesn't have monetization. If you send like a PayPal donation, Luke, we got some background noise on your end. If you could mute when you're not talking.
Got it.
There you go. If you send a donation on PayPal, and like put a little note and even put like what screen name you want me to read or whatever, put from whatever, you know what I mean. I'll try and check PayPal throughout it, and if there's anything on that end, I'll read it. That's the best I can do, folks. I know that's not a super chat. I know it's not as convenient as a super chat. Best I can do. Also, like I said earlier, channel update. Obviously, I'm in exile here on Luke's channel. I appreciate all you that have wandered over here to check me out. And I'm thinking I might go to Twitch. I don't know. I'm looking into stuff. I'm seeing how a lot of this would work. We'll see. But yeah, appreciate everybody kind of following me over. Somebody says, did you see Mediker's first vid on Iconwad? I caught like the first, I'm 19 minutes into it. And I have a 28-minute video. I had to then get ready for this and go live. I didn't get a chance to finish it. But yeah, there's the PayPal, so if you and obviously there's also the Patreon and the Amazon wish list if you want to support me that way. And Luke even threw up a link to the BitChute channel where the animated videos are, in case my YouTube channel gets showed tomorrow or something. Who the fuck knows? Also, I'm on Gab and I'm on Facebook, the Bechtloff on both those places. That's another good way to not lose me should this channel go bye-bye. All right, so I'm sorry, to be peppering those kind of channel updates in throughout this, but I just kind of feel in exile. It's something that needs to be done. All right, so let me bring up some articles I wanted to talk about. We got a lot this week. So there was the Roseanne revival this week. A lot of people are saying reboot. That's not entirely accurate. Reboot would mean sort of starting over when this is actually a continuation of the show. Which you'd think like these sites that report on Hollywood would know terms better than I do, but whatever. Somebody's asking me, like, are you streaming? I'm getting messages on Facebook. All right, so bringing up some articles here that I want to talk about. I got a list of them. I want to try and find the actual article. Anyways, the thing about the Roseanne revival. I'm sorry, folks. I'm not that organized this week. I apologize. Terrible show. You should shut it off and say fuck that guy. I read an article where it was saying like it's prompting soul searching from Hollywood, which I doubt it. But basically, the Roseanne revival was very pro-Trump, very pro-American. I'm not going to sit here and sing the praises of. I haven't seen it, by the way, but I've seen enough. I've seen enough synopsis and reviews of it that I basically know everything pertinent about it. Point is, I'm not going to sit here and sing its praises because the one significant downside is that Darlene, Roseanne's daughter Darlene, is now a single mom with a little faggot kid. That's a big old nope for me. That said, though, there is some positive steps in the right direction on Hollywood's part in this show. And I'm not going to tell you to support it, but the fact of the matter is Hollywood took a step in at least a pro-American direction, and they were rewarded quite handsomely with some of the greatest ratings network TV has seen in years. And it's even prompted Tim Allen's show, Last Man Standing, that got, despite pretty high ratings, got showed because Tim Allen is to the right of Karl Marx. Fox is now thinking of picking that up for a renewal. So, some good news out of Hollywood. Again, I'm not fond of the fact that we got to have a little faggot kid in the Roseanne thing. But in all fairness, Roseanne, even back in the day, had gay characters in it constantly. Back when that was actually something daring. Like there was that gay character that ran the restaurant Roseanne worked at for a while, who was actually really funny. That actor is pretty funny. I can't think of his name. And then that really ugly chick who her character was married to Tom Arnold's character in the show. They got divorced and then she became a lesbian or some shit. Sandra Bernhard or something like that. She's an incredibly ugly woman. Like, I mean, I'd sooner fuck Tom Arnold. I think it would be less degenerate to fuck Tom Arnold. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you should definitely check this show out. I haven't even seen it. I have mixed feelings about the original Roseanne. I think it was occasionally really good. Early seasons of it I thought were very good, mostly because of John Goodman. I am a fan of John Goodman. John Goodman makes me laugh very, very consistently. Later seasons of that show, when Roseanne got creative control, are kind of a train wreck. Early seasons of that show are good. Like I said, if you want to support a show that's pro-American, it wouldn't hurt, but let's see.
Great.
But most of all, Lord, thank you for making America great again. No, it's okay, darling.
And Roseanne's sister, Jackie, who I remember in the show was a huge fuck up. Like, she could never hold down a job and constantly borrowing money from her sister and shit. She's, of course, the hardcore leftist now.
With a pink hat and a shirt that says "Nasty Woman."
Yeah, somebody in the chat says one of those things is not like the other, and I do not know why there's a little black girl in the show. I don't know what that character is supposed to be. For all I know, that's like a quirky neighbor that pops in like Kramer. I don't know. Like, that's their Urkel. I don't fucking know.
Let's
see. Somebody says the laugh track seems forced. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of laugh tracks in shows. It's trying to mimic that studio. Actually, I think they had a studio audience in this. I'm not sure. But it tries to mimic a studio audience, and I don't know. It's really weird when you like mute the laugh track in a show, because there's just these pauses that seem like really off-putting. Let's see. Somebody in the chat says DJ's wife is black and the girl is their daughter. Okay. I mean, I don't really, at least it's portraying a white man with a black chick. Honestly, the most annoying part of Hollywood constantly pushing miscegenation is that it has a distinctly anti-white male bias most of the time. Which kind of annoys the fuck out of me. All right, so other things I wanted to talk about. And like I said, folks, I apologize. This is not the most organized show. Been kind of a rough week. Not gonna lie. All right, we're going to move on to a topic about trannies and what wonderful, well-adjusted people they are. I threw a link in the chat to this article. And once again, folks, I have only skimmed this article, so a lot of this is going to be my legitimate reaction to this. This is from westernjournal.com by Rebecca Baker, and the article is entitled "Transgender Proudly Admits to Drugging Attendees at Conservative Conference." A transgender woman, aka a dude, claimed to be drugging attendees of a conservative conference in Phoenix, Arizona on Saturday morning. Oh, by the way, this was March 24th, 2018, the time this article was published. The biological male, meaning the male, and an alleged Starbucks employee, identified on Twitter as Lauren, claimed to be slipping estrogen pills into the drinks of unsuspecting customers at the conference. Quote, "I love my job at the Phoenix Convention Center Starbucks, and I love slipping my spare estrogen pills in the coffee of anyone wearing a hashtag Western Conservative Conference lanyard," Lauren tweeted. Estradiol is an estrogen steroid hormone and the major female sex hormone. Yeah, I read that wrong. It wasn't estrogen pills, estradiol. And I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, so forgive me if I sound like a retard. The Western Conference Center held in the Phoenix Convention Center, the Western Conservative Conference held in the Phoenix Convention Center is described on the website as, quote, "the premier gathering of conservatives in the Western United States," unquote. Quote, "This year we are planning important panels on media bias, immigration, repeal and replace Obamacare nightmare, tax reform, the assault on law enforcement by the Obama administration," quote, our parentheses, good God, I can't talk tonight. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, forgive me, folks, I sound like a retard tonight. and training grassroots and media warriors for liberty, threats to our religious freedom, and First Amendment, protecting our Second Amendment, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Speakers at the conference included Herman Cain, Sheriff Joe, Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe, and others. A couple of tweets from the from Wayne Allen Root here, who's actually more of a conservative than libertarian, but whatever, splitting hairs. The harassing tweet received immediate backlash on Twitter. Someone responded, "You've been reported to management." Someone says, "Hi, at Starbucks. You have an employee who's slipping prescription drugs into customer drinks. Hope you don't get sued." Let's see. And it doesn't go on from there. That's all the article has. And I don't know if, Luke, you could throw up the picture of this gentleman, because that is indeed what he is.
Does she have a you caring page or a funding page, like a support page?
I couldn't tell you. I haven't followed any links beyond this article.
Is this him, her? What is it?
That looks like him.
Needs help with paying for FFS.
I'm going to say something. Look, if you're trying to look like a female there, buddy, I don't think you have any spare estrogen pills. I think you need every last one of them, because it's not working so far. So yeah, that's just the wonderful folks at these. I'm sorry, I don't want to get Luke's channel showed for bullying here, but these people are mentally ill. They're sick in the head. All right, they need help. You know, homosexuality is degenerate, and you could certainly argue a mental illness, I think, but this is inarguably a mental illness. These transgenders are fucked in the head. Because it's more than just having destructive urges. It's just outright delusion. Them. So, like I said, not a lot to talk about on that. But definitely needed to be brought up because, you know, there it is. Let's see, covered Roseanne. All right. Well, once again, real quick, let's go ahead and do the sponsors, shall we?
All right.
Sponsors this week are Asshole Consulting by Aaron Clary, where you can get the big brotherly advice that, you know, maybe you didn't get, you know, from maybe your dad was an all too typical boomer. Maybe your older brother was a shithead Gen Xer with his head 3 feet up his own ass, and you never got any older male advice. Aaron Clary's a trained economist. He's lived a hell of an interesting life, and he'll give you his very on the numbers, no bullshit look at things, and it's definitely a perspective you want to hear when it comes to a lot of things. He charges $100 an hour, which sounds like a lot, but it's not, because you're not going to use an hour of his time. You're going to use like 15 minutes of his time. It is a bit more if you want a video response, but that is not something you have to do if you're too broke or too cheap to do it, or just not interested in it at all. So, yeah, check out Asshole Consulting. Also on the sponsor is Steve's Jerky. And folks, I just, as of Friday, was able to sample some of Steve's Jerky product for the first time. I got 3 bags of it, and in the course of an evening, blew through a bag and a half. And then today blew through the other half of a bag, and I'm trying to show the restraint to save myself from tearing into that 3rd bag, because they are bitching. This is some of the best jerky I've ever had, folks. Absolutely fantastic. Great Cajun flavor, sweet, with a kick. I highly recommend it. People who have bought some of this, who have called into the show, have praised it. People in the chat have praised it, and I am firsthand going to praise this right here. This, if you like jerky, you will like this. I can't recommend it enough. It's $10 a bag. If you get it with, I think, $5 shipping. If you get 3 bags, shipping is free. Go to facebook.com, Steve's Jerky. I believe he sells off of both Etsy and eBay. all the pertinent links will be on the Facebook page. And if you don't have Facebook for whatever reason, you just go on Etsy and search Steve's Jerky. You can find it. On eBay, same thing. But yeah, I cannot recommend the stuff enough. Holy shit. Holy shit. Absolutely fantastic. Also down below, you will see the Patreon and the Amazon wish list, which are two different ways to support me. You can become a regular supporter on Patreon. You could support me by sending me something off the Amazon wish list. And you could support me by sending a one-time donation on PayPal. And for the time being, PayPal is the only real substitute I can do for the Super Chats. I know a lot of you like doing the Super Chats, so I will periodically check the PayPal throughout the stream. If any of you donate and you leave a message you want me to read, I'll go ahead and do that. I won't read aloud your real name. I'm not going to do that to you. I'll either read your first name or I'll read a screen name you put in the message. So, again, I know it's not as convenient as Super Chat. Best I can do for you right now, folks. Yeah. And what else we got tonight? Well, I guess the elephant in the room here is that it's Easter tomorrow, folks. Good Friday. Yes. Good Friday yesterday, which also means Lent is over. So I have a Pepsi in my hand right now. Man. Oh, man. I tell you what, soda is fucking terrible for you. You shouldn't drink it at all. But damn, is it delicious. Oh, man. And, I didn't give up sugary drinks entirely. I drink a lot less sugary drinks because all I drink was like juice or tea. And juice is kind of pricey, and tea I don't like nearly as much. So, I was drinking mostly water these past few weeks, and that's good. That's what I should be doing all first. But I gotta tell you, I miss that carbonation so much. Oh, man. Nothing like it. Okay, so, couple of the... As a kid, I didn't grow up in an overtly religious home, so I don't really have. In a way, I don't. Easter was never a big deal to me as a kid, I mean, on Christmas, you get a Nintendo. On Easter, you get a bag of jelly beans. Like, it's almost kind of funny that the secular aspects of Easter are so much lamer than Christmas, when the religious aspects of it are so much more impressive. One celebrates a birth, the other a resurrection. So I never had much of an emotional attachment to Easter until, becoming a Christian. So really, all I give a shit about on Easter is the religious aspects of it. The Easter bunny and you bring you candy and that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean anything to me. Even as a kid, that never meant anything to me. Let's see. Somebody says, Bechtloff, will you drink seltzer? I drink it a lot. A lot of people hate it, but it grows on you. I've never drank just soda water. No. Let's see. Think we like the carbonation more than the flavor itself. Well, I do love the flavor of Pepsi. I'm not going to lie. But anyways, I was listening to some Easter messages here today, and I can't remember who said it. It was a few different podcasts I listened to. But somebody mentioned that, with Easter celebrations, people tend to skip over the entirety of that Holy Week. I mean, people, they don't do Good Friday celebrations. They don't mark anything on Saturday kind of thing. And obviously, it's sort of one package. And I heard somebody mention that, we're sort of, as Christians, we sort of believe ourselves to be in the long Saturday of history between Christ's resurrection and his return. And I thought that was very, very poignant. Especially given that, in all honesty, I've had kind of a shitty Well, I mean, you folks know what the hell's going on. That's why we're sitting here on Luke's channel. Hasn't been the best week for me, and a couple other things going on with me. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Because I am pretty blessed. I'm far more so than I have any right to be. And I know a great deal of my audience is Christian, but obviously not all of it. And obviously there's some people who, I don't know, how should I put this? I've had quite a few arguments the past few weeks with primarily Catholics over justification by faith. And to some extent, I don't understand why you. I don't understand why y'all want to. I don't understand why y'all want to even think the way you do sometimes.
It's empowering.
To some extent, it is, but I think if you're honest with yourself, it's fucking terrifying. I couldn't imagine my goodness, my inherent righteousness having a thing to do with my salvation. I wouldn't want my best moment to have a thing to do with my salvation, because I know even it is tainted beyond anything I can imagine. And it just, you can either be trusting in Christ's resurrection, or you can be trusting in your own goodness, your own morality. And I mean, I just know which one I'm going to trust in, because I'm honest enough about myself to know which one's a sinking ship. But yeah, some of the Orthodox and the Catholics and in all fairness, people can say I'm harping on the issue, but I mean, I literally get random texts. Like the other day, I got a random text from an Orthodox person I know, who plucked a few bits of scripture, and was like, "How does this fit in with your justification by faith?" And it's like, it's 2 a.m. But no, seriously, I don't think it was that late. But the point is that I'm like, dude, I finally was like, go ask Pastor Tom, okay? I don't have a Bible sitting right next to me. I can't play fucking, scripture verse tennis with you back and forth all day, all right? But at the end of the day, it's like, why the fuck would you even? Because so many of them seem to want to believe it, and I know I'm putting them on the couch, I'm psychoanalyzing them. But, you want to think you bring something to the table. But you're not being honest with yourself, or you're not being honest with yourself about the nature, the inherent holiness of God, or your own sinfulness there. You don't bring nothing to the table.
Also, if anyone wants to book Bechtloff at 2 o'clock in the morning for Bible stuff, I'll take that too.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, ask Pastor Tom, okay? He does it for a living. Sort of. Yeah, go pester him. But yeah, I can't be playing fucking scripture tennis with you all damn day.
That's a game that can go on for days.
But
and
yeah,
days and days.
What happened on Friday and what happens on Sunday is what I'm putting my trust in, not myself. Okay, I wouldn't trust my goodness on my best day for my salvation, and neither should you. Let's see. And I know that sounds a bit more somber than I mean it to, because I mean, yeah, it's Easter. You should be celebrating. I hope you're celebrating tomorrow with friends and family. Do whatever kind of Easter traditions you got going on. Paint your fucking eggs with the kids or whatever the hell. Have a ham, or I don't know, whatever you're doing. Have a grand old time. Do your I don't know. Sometimes I don't go to church on Easter. I got to make room for all them fake Christians that show up twice a year. No, actually, a lot of the churches I've gone to over the years have done the sunrise service, and I got to be honest with you, no, thank you. Getting up at 9 for the service is more than I particularly want to do. But I don't know. I think my church service is regular time tomorrow. So I'm showing up at regular time. I hadn't heard anything different, so shit might be over by the time I get there. Who knows? Somebody in the chat says no super chat, and I saw it was somebody that just got there. No, there's no super chat. I have a PayPal link down below. If you make a donation on the PayPal with a little message, I'll read it. I can read your first name or I can read a screen name if you include that in the message. I know that's not as convenient as the super chat, but Luke doesn't have monetization, so that's the best I can do for you. Sorry.
Right here on the description bar below.
Let's see. What else did we have to talk about this week? Okay, so we covered the tranny. Let me just check the PayPal, see if anybody did that. I don't really expect people to do it because it's not the convenience of the super chat, but I figure it's something if you want to make use of it. To be honest, it's kind of better for me to donate on PayPal versus the super chat because I don't have to wait till $100 piles up, and I don't have to have YouTube take 30%.
Skimming off the top there.
Let's see. So, a couple other articles I wanted to bring up. Let's see. I'm trying to get them up. Keeping with the somber tone, I have a bit of a downer article too. Have we talked about Cool Cat and his stopping a school shooting yet on a Saturday show?
Yeah, but it doesn't exist anymore.
That's true.
From last week.
That show got showed, didn't it? By the way, folks, do you know what I got that strike for bullying against on the channel? This is an interesting thing. Now, this is largely speculation on my part, but I can't imagine what else it would have been. Apparently, I was mean to poor Mike Enoch. You see, and I know that I got a comment from a Mike Enoch fanboy right before I got the strike, so that's probably the cocksucker who reported me if I was a betting man. But the reason I had reason I was bullying Mike Enoch is because he's a lying sack of shit. And let me just say that once again for the record. Mike Enoch is a liar. A liar. Why do you say that? Why do I say that, you might ask? Well, if you had missed what I reported on there, Mike Enoch was running his mouth about people who are irony bros and in it for the lulz and
I have the clip if you want.
Well, but yes, but no, he starts off talking about irony bros, and then someone brings up Mr. Medicare, and Mike quickly starts saying, "But no, I like Mr. Medicare because Mike's not stupid enough to try and poke that hornet's nest. He might be a liar, but he's not stupid."
Point is that the general way
take it away, Mike.
Things, you can always approach things from the perspective of I'm just doing it for the lulz. I'm along for the ride. Remember when we used to go off on Aaron Clary? Enjoy the decline, Captain Capitalism guy.
Yeah.
And his whole thing was like, hey, everything's falling to shit. You might as well fuck trannies. Like, that's literally like that guy's position.
Go fuck trannies. That's literally. He said literally. So he emphasized he wasn't being figurative there. That wasn't hyperbole. That's literally Aaron Clary's position. Well, no, it's not, you cocksucker. Aaron Clary has never advocated for fucking trannies. In fact, I seem to remember a little saying about glass houses and throwing stones, because the only tranny fucking I know of seems to be going on the TRS end from the likes of Ghoul, okay? So I don't think it was. I don't think it's Aaron Clary that has a problem with trannies. By the way, have you noticed that the TRS guys like to bring up trannies a lot? Aaron Clary wants to fuck trannies. Matt Forney only went to the Philippines to fuck trannies. They seem to have she-males on the mind. Really makes you think.
There's Ghoul.
Yeah, there's Ghoul. By the way, I knew Ghoul was a piece of shit the moment I laid eyes on him. The moment I watched a video of his, and he was just watching his mannerisms, like you can tell a lot about a person by their mannerisms. All right, just mute a video and look at their body language and see what your hindbrain's telling you. I knew Ghoul was a piece of shit. And Mike Enoch's a piece of shit. All right. He's a line sack of dog shit. That's what I got showed for.
YouTube is defending the honor and respect of a alt-writer.
How about that? I bullied Mike Enoch by pointing out the fact that he lied. And by the way, Mike, on the off chance you should listen to this, and I know, you probably won't because I don't have a feminine penis, so I'm not going to catch your attention. But I mean, I have a penis, but it's not, it's not the little shriveled up ladyboy penis that you like. Anyways, on the off chance you should hear this, I would invite you to please prove me wrong and show me where Aaron Clary has advocated for fucking trannies. And I realize I'm getting a bit triggered here, but you got to understand, yeah, Aaron's a sponsor, and I appreciate his sponsorship, but Aaron's also a friend of mine. All right. And Aaron is also several times the man Mike Enoch is or ever could be. So, yeah, that's why I got showed. I bullied Mike Enoch by pointing out the fact that he fucking lied. So, there you go. What else do we got?
It says you're a heretic.
That it does.
Or better yet.
Hey, there's something awfully screwy going on around here.
Fuck Mike Enoch. Stupid piece of shit.
And of course, there's always the classic. Where are you, classic?
Fuck you. Oh, fuck you, fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you. Fuck, 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 you.
All right, so let's bring up. I threw a link to it in the article. We got an interesting little article on Pat the NES Punk. Now, this is a YouTuber I greatly enjoy. Oddly enough, these days, not so much for his videos. His Pat the NES Punk show has largely run its course. He splits up his podcast in a little 5 to 10 minute clips, which are handy if you want just some white noise on a topic. But where I really appreciate what he's done is with the big NES library guide that he put out, which is a huge hardback guide to all 800 plus games in the NES library from 85 to 95. And people forget they were still making games for the NES at like 94. The N64 and the PlayStation were a year or two away, and NES games are still being made, officially licensed ones, no less.
And that's a practice Nintendo should bring back and actually bring a lot more games out for their systems.
Yeah. Let's see. So anyways, this is kind of a depressing article. I want to see, they talk about sort of the article is called The Nintendo King and the Midlife Crisis. And it's sort of Pat talking about, where he wants to go from here and stuff. And there's sort of depressing tones in it. Here we go. He says, and I quote, "I don't know if I want to be 65 years old talking about retro video games. I don't want that to be the only thing I talk about forever. I think sometimes, is this where my talent ends or begins and ends? He says he doesn't even play NES games anymore, except when he's in character, and it's different now. It's work. He admits this in resignation. It's like sacrilege for the man for whom Nintendo became a career. Let's see. So it goes on for a while in there, and I just find it really interesting because it just like it says in the article that Pat lives alone. It talks about his very hectic schedule of going from con to con. You know, he's just constantly on the road, constantly, you know, shuffling around these cons, and it's often no kind of life. Like here we go. Today, Contri gets flown across the country up to 12 times a year to attend video game conventions, where he often arrives sleep-deprived and stressed, carving a smile in front of his fans. He shelves suitcases full of NES Punk wristbands and DVDs across banquet halls and sits at a booth wearing a T-shirt and sandals, a guy with a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow and foppish hair, selling his merchandise and signing his name 100 times on NES consoles and controllers and game cartridges. He earns 6 figures a year, nothing to sneeze at. His revenue coming from merchandise and book royalties from YouTube ads and sponsors of his 2 podcasts, Not So Common, which he hosts by himself, and Completely Unnecessary Podcast, a show he co-hosts with a friend named Ian Ferguson, from the Patreon supporters whose monthly donations help pay for his content, on and on and on. I mean, he makes a good amount of money, and like I said, that book he put out alone it's a hell of a contribution to the retro game scene. That said, though, it does sort of, you know, the wonderful amount of money aside, it does sort of kind of sound like a shitty life. Let's see. And there's just something about a hobby becoming like, look, I talk about nerd shit on here, and I'm probably, for as long as I'm doing this, always going to talk about nerd shit from time to time. But that's not all this show is. We cover theology, we cover, you know, the news, politics, slice of life shit, whatever the hell I feel like talking about. I couldn't do a show just on one topic without getting horrifically burned out on it. So, yeah. I thought it was a really interesting article. It's kind of somber. I linked it on the Bechtloff Facebook page, but, you know, if you just check out, like, Pat the NES Punk and, like, Wired, you'll find it. You know, I mean, he certainly doesn't have as dark of a life as, say, Wings of Redemption or Spoonie. He at least, you know, still has material success. But he doesn't sound happy, at least not according to that article. And there's hints of it when you listen to his podcast, too, about how he really doesn't give much of a shit about this anymore. You know? I mean, the guy has literally every fucking NES game published in North America except for Stadium Events, which was, you know, which was actually just republished under the name World Class Track Meet anyways. So, I mean, if you wanted to actually play the game, it's a shit game, but if you wanted to actually play it, he could under that title. But, I mean, he has every other fucking NES cartridge published in North America, up to and including the Nintendo World Championship, gray and gold editions. You know, he has probably the greatest NES collection anyone's ever put together. But, so what? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I look at that on all those NES games behind him and I think, oh, that's cool. But so what? You know what I mean? I have a far, far, far more modest NES collection. In fact, you know what, Luke? I'll shoot you the picture of it over on Facebook real quick, and you can contrast his great wall of fucking NES games with mine. Give me 1 second. I got to do it on my phone. But, and I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, he should have found himself a wife and had a family. He probably should have. I'm not going to I'm not going to lie, but that's not necessarily what everyone in this life is called for. You know, certainly, you know, not even having a wife and certainly not having kids is everyone's good life, as it were. But just chasing material things is not the good life. And you know, like, I don't mean to sound like, you know, a moral fag about it. Like, it's nice to have nice things, you know. I just shot you that picture on Facebook, Luke, if you want to throw it up.
And we can compare it to the wall of diabetes.
Well, no, it's not the wall of diabetes, but yeah. I mean, again, and I'm not shitting on Pat. He's got this NES collection behind him, and it's very, very impressive. But then, so what? Well, yeah, the Great Wall of Diabetes. Now, there's my retro game collection, excluding my handheld stuff. That's, yeah. Blow that up there. You can see up on the top shelf, I've got bunch of Genesis games in cartridges and one 32X game. Then down below, I've got a bunch of loose Genesis games, a couple of 32X games, a Genesis Game Genie. I got a Super Game Boy there, a bunch of Super Nintendo games. That little contraption there you see next to Samus, that's a Super Boy. It's a second-party portable system that plays Super Nintendo cartridges. Then down below, you'll see a bunch of NES cartridges. I got a little Game & Watch. It was a Christmas present one year, a display. And there's another little handheld down there that plays another aftermarket thing, plays NES games. The thing about that collection, though, those are entirely games I like to play. And that would be fun to have, you know, if you got some buddies over, maybe, you know, you pop it in, you guys play, that kind of thing. There's kind of a purpose behind it. I don't collect shitty, rare, expensive games. Like, I have no interest in owning Action 52 because it's an unplayable fucking abortion. You know, it's an interesting conversation piece, I suppose, but I have no interest in owning games like that. I have no interest in owning games I would never want to fucking play. I have two sports games in that collection, by the way. I have NHL 97 on the Genesis, and I have NBA Jam Tournament Edition on the Super Nintendo. The only two sports games I consider worth playing. But, yeah, like, it's nice to have nice things. I'm very happy with this bookshelf full of retro games. I you know, it's a blessing to have them, to have been able over the years to acquire them. I didn't really pay a great deal for any of them. If games are too expensive these days and I really want it, like I really wanted Demon's Crest on the Super Nintendo, but instead of paying $125 for a loose fucking cartridge, I went on Etsy and I paid $40 for a reproduction. It plays just the same as a fucking, you know, original. There's absolutely no difference, other than the only difference is literally on the label at the bottom. It says reproduction in little print. Won't be jack shit, because I'm not interested in building a museum. You know, I don't know. There's something about it where it's like, there's an old saying where, you know, it's not wrong to have things. It's wrong to let things have you. And I used to collect comics back in the day, and I mean really collect them. Now, obviously, I read comics primarily was my interest, but I also collected them. Every week, I'd pick up comics, I'd read them, and I'd put them in box, and I'd chase down rare variants. I would chase down variants, which is stupid. The dumbest comic I ever bought. And it was valued at $10 at the time. I only paid $5, so I only wasted $5 on this stupid thing. As I look back, it's so fucking stupid. So there's a storyline in the 90s run through Spider-Man books called Maximum Carnage. And it obviously had a video game on the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. I think it might have originally been an arcade game, but I'm not sure on that. Anyways, there was this little, like, it was like a 10-page little comic. It was like nothing. You know what I mean? It was like a little pamphlet. It was like Lauren Southern wrote it. That's how thin it was. But it was, and it had that cover, but that's actually the cover to a trade paperback. But that's the cover that was the box art that was used for the game, right? that then got later used in the trade paperback, collecting the whole thing. Well, anyways, this thing I'm talking about came free with a, video game magazine. And it was literally just the first like 5 or 10 pages of the first issue of the Maximum Carnage storyline. So it reprints the first few pages from Spider-Man Unlimited #1. A book I already had, I might add. I literally bought this stupid thing just as a collector's item. Not to read it, just to have it. And I'm not saying this proudly. It was a dumb fucking thing. I remember when I was selling my collection, I just looked at this thing and was like, this is retarded. Why did I have this? But that's all it was. It was a collector's edition when it was essentially worthless. It was like, hey, would you like to read the first 10 pages of a comic book you already own? It's retarded. And that's the element of collecting that's just retarded. Like, collect things because you like having them, because there's something you like. Like, if you read comic books, then it makes sense to collect them. If you play video games, then it makes sense to build a library, as it were. But buying shit just as the quote-unquote collector's item is fucking stupid. It was stupid the handful of times I got sucked into it. And it's really stupid when you've made a life out of it. I like Pat the NES Punk. I like his channel. I absolutely adore this book that he put a lot of hard work into. So this isn't me throwing shade at him. But Pat, have you heard of Jesus? Okay? Like, is this what your life is? Collecting a bunch of NES games to put on a shelf that you don't even play anymore?
Have you heard of Jesus?
Yeah, no shit. Like, it's nice to have nice things. All right. I'm not one of these. I'm not a minimalist. I'm not like Aaron Clary, where, the only things I want to own are what I can strap to my back and hit the old dusty trail. I like building myself a comfortable little nest. I like the comforts of the material world, perhaps too much. But they're passing things, You can't get too attached to them. And there's that old saying where you're supposed to love your fellow man and use things, and we all love things and use your fellow man. So yeah, I have to imagine that Pat, he's a couple years older than I am. And I'm no spring chicken. He's staring. 40's coming down the pike really fast on this guy. And, that it's a very, very impressive NES collection you have there, Pat. But what else do you have? And he's making good money, so he might drive around in a really good car. He might live in a very nice place. I don't know. He might have a whole lot of other really nice material things. But so what? You know what's better than having a wall full of NES games? Having a handful of NES games and some good friends to come over and play them with you. Having just one Mario Kart game and a friend to play it with is better than having all the games ever. Let's see.
Oh yeah, I think I found the right line for it.
Well, like the man says, don't take life too seriously. You'll never get out of it alive.
Let me go through the chat here. Let's see what we got. He says, I remember that story arc. I guess talking about Maximum Carnage. It was a pretty good story arc. It became fashionable in the 2000s to shit on Carnage as a stupid character, which I've never understood. I don't understand why, if you take a nihilistic serial killer and paint him up like a clown and have him fight Batman, he's the greatest villain ever. But if he's covered in a red symbiote and he fights Spider-Man, he's stupid. I've never understood the Carnage backlash. Yeah, Carnage was in bad stories from time to time, but so was every fucking character in the 90s. Let's see. Somebody says, all the comic books I own, I have partly because I like them, but mostly so that kids can have good stuff from before everything got paused. Yeah, I have a lot of trade paperbacks for that exact purpose. I have a box of two boxes of comic books that I kept. And bear in mind that I had like a room fucking full of these damn things. I kept a box of my issues of What If, which was a series Marvel did where it took some event that happened in the Marvel universe and then looked at a parallel universe where that event happened differently and how that would unfold kind of thing. And I'm a sucker for multiverse stories. So I have most of the issues of What If of all of them, both volumes and most of the one shots. And I have a box of just assorted random comics. And that was when I thinned down my collection. I kept the comics that meant the most to me, not necessarily the ones that were the most valuable. Few key Spider-Man issues, a couple of Sonic the Hedgehog comics, actually, a couple of the Mario comics Valiant made, the first appearance of Tomb Raider in comics, or Lara Croft in comics, just shit like that. You know, by no means the most valuable comics I owned, but the most valuable comics to me.
Here's a typical objection to Carnage.
Spider-Man was occupied with Carnage, a bad guy seemingly born out of a dare to create a villain more one-note than Venom.
Okay, yeah, that was good old movie Bob. But, okay, here's a problem with that. Any criticism you lob at Carnage as being one note and stupid and a lame villain, you have to lob at the Joker. You have to. It's the exact same motivation. It is a nihilist who worships chaos and wants to see the world burn. See, Movie Bob just doesn't like the fucking 90s because he thinks comics were too dude bro or whatever other dumb shit excuses he comes up with. Fuck Movie Bob.
Although here's a Joker when he's funny.
Get out of my face, clown.
Which one?
Yeah, the only criticism you could lob against Carnage is that he's not as funny or clever as the Joker. He's not as perhaps charming. But in a way, that's kind of interesting because it's like it sort of strips away the charm of the Joker and leaves you only with the ugliness of it. There's a few one-shots I recommend if you want to understand Carnage's character. There's 2 one-shots where we actually look directly into Cletus Cassidy is the name of the character that is bonded with the symbiote. If you want to look directly in his mind, Mind Bomb and It's a Wonderful Life. Carnage Mind Bomb and Carnage It's a Wonderful Life. Both of those take looks directly into the mind of this man. And they're both really somber reads. Now, I mean, Carnage is your typical edgelord fedora nihilist, but it's still interesting to see that all laid bare.
He looks like a pleasant guy.
Oh yeah, Cletus Cassidy is an absolute shitbag. He's literally like at one point, Eddie Brock, the guy who is Venom, was separated from the symbiote, and because he had no powers, he was just put in a normal prison at that point, which was probably stupid. But, you know, nobody ever accused the government of being smart. Well, what happens is the symbiote then finds Eddie Brock, makes him Venom again. Venom breaks out, but little did they know the symbiote had left a little spawn. That spawn bonds with Cletus, and Cletus becomes Carnage. But yeah, just absolute fucking nihilist, evil piece of shit. Just do the most evil fucking thing you can think of all the time. And it's actually quite interesting because one of the big things about Spider-Man, and he's very up his own ass and self-righteous about it. He's got the no killing rule and all that shit. Well, the only real way you can test a rule like that is to be dealing with a villain that is seemingly completely irredeemable and devoid of, any human value. In other words, it takes a villain like Carnage to actually test the limits of Spider-Man's no killing rule. Because why the fuck shouldn't you just kill Cletus Cassidy?
Cassidy! Think of the damage we can do now, man!
And actually, there was a villain called the Sin Eater where that was really explored well, too. The pushing the limits of Spider-Man's no killing rule. In fact, in Maximum Carnage, at the end of it, like, Venom is about ready to kill Carnage. He's got him on the ropes, and he's like, you're fucking done, buddy. I'm going to put you down like the mad dog you are. And Spider-Man jumps in the middle of it all, moral fagging about how Cletus Cassidy was abused as a child and, oh, woe is him and shit. And, like, literally as Spider-Man is begging for Carnage's life, Carnage literally, like, jumps behind him and attacks Spider-Man, and says something to the effect of, like, even I don't believe that crap. And yeah, it made Spider-Man look like a fucking tool because, he was being a fucking tool. I mean, honestly, see, I can understand superheroes having the no-kill rule because it's like you're already operating above the law. You have all this power. You need to have some sort of line in the sand that you can't cross just for your own sake. Like, I get that. But Spider-Man gets really moral faggy about the value of all life in this shit. It's like, look, if I was Spider-Man and I had that rule, I wouldn't kill Carnage, but I certainly wouldn't stop Venom. I just sort of turned my back on that shit for a moment.
Turning around so you can have deniability.
Yeah, I'd be like, look, I'm not going to kill him. That's not a line I'm going to cross, but, but Eddie, you go right ahead. All right.
Before you took me in.
Let's see. So he says Carnage is too simplistic. He should have died at the end of Maximum Carnage. Venom's was a much more complex character. Carnage's only use was getting Spider-Man and Venom to work together. I don't think he should have died. I think he's a pretty interesting character. Let's see. Creepy clowns scare me. There actually was a Batman Spider-Man crossover in the 90s. And it was one of those like out of continuity crossovers where instead of like, we acknowledge that these things live in different universes and have some sort of, dimensional portal or something, bring them together. We just act like they've always existed in the same universe and just met just now. You know what I mean? And it was still interesting because it was sort of a team up between Joker and Carnage. And it eventually breaks down because like Joker has this elaborate plot to like poison the city or something like that. And like Carnage, like Cletus is all antsy. And he's like, when are we going to kill people? And like the Joker's like, no, you got to have some artistry about it. And Carnage is all like, that's gay. Let's just go kill people. and Joker's like, you have no artistry. He's like, I'm the Vincent Price of murder, and you're the Dolph Lundgren. So yeah, the one criticism you could have of Carnage compared to a Joker is that he doesn't have the same theatrics.
Hi-ho, couch potatoes. I'm interrupting the toilet bowl to bring you my very special New Year's resolution. Starting tonight at midnight, I, your loving Uncle Joker, do solemnly vow not to kill anyone for a whole year. Which means I'm going to have to work extra fast to bump off a few more of you today.
So, Here's an interesting little thing I just saw in the chat. Robert Williams says, "Hey Bechtloff, how does it feel to know that the person that got you banned is sitting in the chat with you right now?" So I guess Robert Williams was the faggot that reported me. That's good to know. I'll go ahead and report that comment for harassing and bullying me. Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander, isn't it? Alrighty. So that's taken care of. Let's see. All right. So moving on, a couple other things to talk about this week. You know, I might see if Davis wants to hop in. I see him online there. I really didn't organize guests that well this week for the simple fact that, you know, I wasn't for a while this week. I wasn't entirely sure how the fuck we were going to go about doing this, let alone get guests. All right. So what else did I want to talk about this week? Oh, I know what else we wanted to talk about. Perhaps I should cover this before Davis hops in. So I read an article that says the Pope has said that there's no hell. Now, I only skimmed this article, so I want to make sure I'm not, you know, the article wasn't being unfair or something. Let's go take a look at the article, shall we? This is on CNS News.
Here's the setup.
The Hippie Pope, the show where I say things and confuse everyone in the world when I say things. Here's how the show works. You call and ask me a loaded question. I answer in a way that makes it sound like I'm overturning official Catholic doctrine. And then my producer, Jeff, runs damage control.
Okay, it doesn't look like Davis can join us. I saw him on Skype. That's why I thought he might join us. Okay, so we got this article. Pope Francis, There Is No Hell by Michael W. Chapman. This story has been updated to include a statement from the Vatican below. I bet it has. In another interview with his longtime atheist friend, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that Italian-looking name. Pope Francis claims that hell does not exist and that condemned souls just, quote, disappear, unquote. This is denial of 2,000-year-old teaching of the Catholic Church about the reality of hell and eternal existence of the soul. It's a denial about basically most of Christendom for 2,000 years. The interview between what's-his-face and the Pope was published March 28th, 2018 in La Repubblica. The relevant section on hell was translated by the highly respected weblog. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that either. The interview is headlined, "The Pope, It is an honor to be called revolutionary." Oh, Jesus. No pun intended. The interviewer says to the Pope, "Your Holiness, in our previous meeting, you told me that our species will disappear in a certain moment and that God, still out of his creative force, will create new species. You have never spoken to me about the souls who died in sin and will go to hell to suffer it for eternity. You have, however, spoken to me of good souls." Yeah, good souls. Right there, we're missing the point. Admitted to the presence of God. But what about bad souls? Where are they punished? Pope Francis says, quote, "They are not punished. Those who repent obtain the forgiveness of God and enter the rank of souls who contemplate him. But those who do not repent and cannot, therefore, be forgiven disappear. There is no hell. There is the disappearance of sinful souls." Well, unless that's a mistranslation, that seems like a pretty clear statement there.
Someone actually tried to argue with me on this kind of premise that there is no hell, although it is kind of questionable why Jesus would say that there is an eternity of punishment.
Okay, so the official statement from the Vatican, let's be fair here. The Holy Father Francis recently received the founder of the newspaper La Republique in a private meeting on the occasion of Easter, without, however, giving him any interviews. What is reported by the author in today's article is a result of his reconstruction in which the textual words pronounced by the Pope are not quoted. No quotation of the aforementioned article must therefore be considered as a faithful transcription of the words of the Holy Father. So basically the Vatican is saying that he didn't say that. I mean, I don't know what the fuck he said either. I wasn't there. And even if I was, I don't fucking speak Italian, so it wouldn't have done me any good to be there. But I don't really doubt for a moment he did say it. There's very little this man could utter that would surprise me. Other than perhaps, actually, advocating justification by faith. That would pleasantly surprise me. Let's see.
Caller number 4.
Yeah, I'm an atheist. Can I still go to heaven?
Dude, as long as it's not your fault that you don't believe in Jesus, you got a real good shot at making it, bro.
Oh, well, what if I'm a Lutheran and I believe that I'm saved by faith alone?
Oh, then you're totally going to hell.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't need to correct any of that.
Let's see. I don't know. The quote comes from the reporter's memory / note. Somebody in the chat says it wasn't a recorded interview. Okay, so it's a his word versus his word. I'll call it a wash at best because I don't trust either one of them. But an interesting story nonetheless. By the way, folks, if you want to call in, because I don't have any guests this week, so call-ins are certainly welcome. You can go ahead and message me on the Skype there, and I can bring you in. Let me see if there's any kind of pseudo super chats on the PayPal that I can read, and then we'll move on to another article. This one is on the NFL.
Ooh, goody.
The slow motion suicide of the NFL is continuing, folks. Let me bring this up. Somebody said, he said, what the? Oh. Chat was freaking out on me for a second there. Like it was glitching out on me. So it was a he said he cucked situation. Let's see. So he says what the Pope is preaching there was preached by the serpent in the garden. All right, so I got Facebook sucks. I really, really hate using Facebook. Okay, so here we got an article. The national, I believe the F in the NFL is starting to stand for something other than football at this point. I'll give you a hint. It's something the British use to describe cigarettes. All right, so this is off of Breitbart. Los Angeles Rams make history with dancing male cheerleaders. The Los Angeles Rams will become the first NFL team to employ dancing male cheerleaders. By the way, if you've ever seen the movie Basketball, that always reminds me how like all the cheerleaders were like special for that city or whatever. Like one of them had like dancing dominatrixes or something in that movie. But I remember San Francisco had a bunch of gay dudes dancing. It was like the San Francisco Pounders or something. Basketball is a great movie. I haven't seen that in a while, but it's a fantastic movie. I would argue it and Team America are frankly the best things Matt Stone and Trey Parker ever did. The Baltimore Ravens and Indianapolis Colts have had male cheerleaders who perform stunts, but until now, none that have danced. Quentin Person and Napoleon Ginnies found out that they made the Rams cheerleading squad this weekend. Well, they must have been so fucking happy. According to The Wrap, Perrin, not Person, sorry, and Ginnies have been performing their entire lives. They were among the 76 finalists chosen for the 40-person squad, and Ginny says the audition was unlike anything he had done before. quote, this one was about 3 weeks long, and we had a bunch of rehearsals in between an extensive interview process. But it was really humbling and amazing to be invited every time you came back, he said on Good Morning America on Wednesday. For the first time, Good Morning America's tweet, for the first time ever, male cheerleaders will be on the sidelines of NFL games. We're talking live with blah, 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 whatever. Scrolling down, any more to this article? Okay, there's no more to this article. So, I understand that I just don't like football. Okay, I don't like fucking football. It's boring. All right, it's fucking boring. I'm not a huge sports guy. In the first fucking place, if I was going to watch a sport, I'd watch hockey. Or, hell, I'd watch basketball first. That's more exciting than fucking football. Basketball doesn't take a timeout every 3 fucking seconds. It also doesn't have faggots dancing on the sidelines. So basketball's got that going for it too now. But like I responded to this article or put a caption on the Bechtloff Facebook page above this article. And I'll read it here real quick because it's short. All my life, I found football to be boring and unwatchable. Parentheses to say nothing of the cuckiness of the fans' worship of overpaid dindus who hate them. Football was forever shoved down my throat by broader culture and even frequently preempted favorite shows of mine. So forgive me, I can't help but take a very, very petty pleasure in the NFL's continued slow-motion suicide. Maybe now the pros can finally start watching a real sport like hockey. And look at that one guy with his leg up like that. Holy shit. So, yeah. The slow-motion suicide of the NFL continues. And I recently worked with people who... These were some of the most sports ball fans I'd ever worked with, to the point where these assholes actually followed fucking high school's football. By the way, in my area, high school football is very big. Probably nowhere else but Texas is it bigger than right here in good old Central PA. I was actually shocked when I first moved up here as a teenager and saw high school football on the news. I was like, that's on the news? Like on the actual news. But anyways, I'm taking a very petty pleasure in the slow motion suicide of the NFL. And I mean, the hardcore sports ball fans, there's always been a cuckiness and a latent homo shit to it. You're worshiping some other man. And I don't know. I don't know how much more. Now, in all fairness, a lot of NFL fans have turned it off. They have shown a great deal of self-respect. The NFL ratings have been plummeting. But they're still huge. There's still a great deal of people every week who tune in to watch a bunch of overpaid dindus who hate you. And now to watch faggots dance on the sidelines while it happens. Fuck are you doing with your life? My football. Like, look, like I said, it's not something I like. I get it. Okay. But have some self-respect about it. If you're still watching the NFL, if you're still supporting the NFL, if you haven't at least cut it the fuck back, you're wrong. All right. Let's see. Going through the chat here. Somebody says, Bechtloff, the last thing white people need to have need is to have a bunch of white boys cheerleading a bunch of black dudes. LMAO. Let's see. Not shedding tears, just taking obvious notes. I'm going through the chat a little bit here. The pause takes no prisoners. Yeah, you can't even have hot bitches on the sideline anymore. You gotta have twinks now. Oh, you got a little Kim Possible cheerleader art. That's fantastic. That is just delightful, Luke. Man, that is distracting. It's so delightful. Let's see. All right. Well, that's most of the articles I want to. Oh, the Harry Potter Jesus thing. Let's talk about that. Let's see if I can find it. Oh shit! I forgot about this one. We got to talk about this one. This is fucking great.
Which one was that?
Hang on. I'm throwing it in the chat. Although I will be sad to see that Kim Possible picture go. She got some big old titties in that. That artist knew what he liked. All right. So I just threw an article in the chat here, Luke, from Snopes, from the good folks at Snopes, whatever. So there's a meme going around where, remember when Britney Spears went crazy and shaved her head a while back? That was probably when all the molestation fucking memories surfaced to the top of her. You know, probably she was dealing with memories of Dan Schneider sucking her toes or something. But she went crazy for a while, shaved her head and all. Well, there's that famous pic of her attacking the car with the umbrella with her shaved head. So somebody turned that into a meme of Emma Gonzalez attacking a Second Amendment supporter's truck at a March for Our Lives rally, 2018 colorized. That's an obvious fucking... First of all, it's a famous picture of Britney Spears. All right? Odds are you recognize that picture if you know, are older than fucking 20 and at all followed the news. But also, the colorized doesn't tip you in to the fact that it's part of a meme. Well, anyways, the good folks at Snoops are now fact-checking fucking obvious memes. So they have this article up here. Was Emma Gonzalez photographed swinging an umbrella at a truck? A famous 2007 photograph of singer Britney Spears is being used to spread a false accusation against the mass shooter or the mass shooting survivor turned gun safety advocate. Are you fucking kidding me, Snoops? How do you pronounce their fucking website's name? Is it Snopes? Snoops? How about
Snoops, I believe. Oh no, Snopes. That's it.
Oh shit. We're just gonna call them shit from now on. Are you kidding me, shit? A particularly low-effort hoax spreading online in March 2018. Are there comments under this? I got to see if there's comments. Of course there's no comments, you fucking coward. Because everyone would have been asking if you were fucking autistic or if you're stupid. I'm almost at a loss here, folks. Like, I'm kind of at a loss. Do they not know that's an obvious meme? Or do they not care and they're lying? Like, I'm not sure. Like Luke, what do you think? You know, is this, are they lying or are they just like stupid and or autistic?
Well, they recently had an article where they denounced. Well, they recently had an article where they denounced an article by a website called the Babylonian Bee, where they said that CNN was actually buying a whole bunch of spin dryers to spin the news faster. So maybe they can't understand humor.
I have to admit I once fell for a Babylon Bee article when I didn't know what it was. But that's just because, I mean, the world is fucking crazy. But come on. By the way, Luke, can you see the chat? When you
Let's see what's up with it. Well, what's up with the chat?
Oh, I'm getting an error where the chat isn't loading. Yeah, I can't see.
I see it right now.
Okay, well, I can't see the chat right now. It's just a hiccup on my end, I guess. Yeah, so keep an eye on the chat for me if you could, because I can't see it right now.
All right.
But yeah, are they really, like, I can't tell if they're being serious or not at this point. Like, maybe Snoops has become satire and I'm not getting it, you know. But it's a low effort hoax. No, it's not. It was a meme. You know, we've long known that the left can't meme. And perhaps now we've gotten to the root cause of why, because they don't know what a meme is. Oh, jeez. They're fact-checking fucking memes. I'm kind of speechless. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Like, honestly, folks, what am I supposed to say that's funnier than just looking at, they're just showing you this article? How am I supposed to build on this? They're fact-checking memes.
I mean, you couldn't possibly meme this into anything else. It's just a meme into itself.
They're fact-checking obvious fucking memes. It's like, what, are they going to hire a biologist to say that there's no such animal as the velociraptor? I'm speechless. Like, I thought I was going to have a bunch of funny one-liners to say to this. Like, oh, wow, we're going to really rip into this. But it kind of hurts. I'm a big fan of a lot of the blood sport stuff. Andy Worski I like, and I'm particularly fond of the Kumite with Tonka Saw and Failure. And they were playing a clip of they were playing an interview where V, who's one of Sargon's bitches, was interviewing Andy Worski about stealing the liberalist trademark, and Andy is just trolling the shit out of him. And V is just very obviously not getting the joke, right? And Tonka kind of reached a point where he wasn't laughing anymore, and he's like, I'm like starting to feel frustrated /bad for V. And it's kind of where I am now. It's like, okay, like I'm not even laughing at Snopes now. It's like I'm frustrated with them /feeling bad for them. Like Lieutenant Commander Data would have a greater fucking grasp of humor and jokes than this. I don't. I don't know what to say. Jeez. Like I said, I thought I was gonna have a laugh at this article, but now I'm like feeling kind of fucking bad. The more that I'm looking at it, like,
okay. And what's really funny is that so many liberals, whenever I make a comment or make a report, they always have a tendency to report, like, reference Snopes when they're trying to correct me. Like, one person said, like, Trump was deliberately making fake hats, importing fake hats from overseas, and then I brought out my own hats as made in America, and I said, well, that's actually wrong.
Oh man. The fact-checking memes. All right, so speaking of feeling bad for liberals, bring up an article from Vice, and Vice, so it's good. Sorry, I don't have any retard sex this week, folks. Just hasn't been any good retard sex, but we got some retard stuff here. Article on Vice.com. Is Harry Potter the Jesus of a New Generation? By Caroline Thompson. Subtitle: Millions are giving the series a close read through a spiritual lens. I'm not going to read this whole article because life's too fucking short. But there was a...
I have several questions.
Yeah, no shit. Let's see. So many fucking, like, the thing keeps jumping up and down because so many fucking little pop-up ads are loading. I gotta get ad blocker on here. The changing land. We're gonna finish this article off here at the bottom where it says the changing landscape of religious affiliation makes this time in history ripe for the creation of new ways to worship. A primary affiliation to one religious identity, i.e., Methodist, Catholic, Jewish, is becoming less and less relevant, says Cully, who's some cunt that they apparently reference in this article. But people are still hungry for meaning, searching for things that give them an experience of belonging. The Harry Potter universe is already filling with is already fulfilling those things for a lot of people. And what we're learning with the podcast is the potential to expand that is very large. I'm gonna get your meaning from Harry Potter. Jeez. All right, this is sort of like, all right, we're gonna kind of go full circle here, almost as if I planned this, and I didn't. Trust me, this is one of my worst shows ever. You should all, like, there should be a button where you can take donations from my Patreon. This is how bad this show has been, in my humble opinion. But anyways, we're gonna go full circle with this. Earlier, I was talking about Easter. And earlier, I was talking about Pat the NES Punk, who, again, I can't emphasize enough, is a YouTuber I have a great deal of respect for. I've enjoyed a lot of his stuff. And, you know, I have that big old NES guide he put out, which is absolutely fantastic. And I've had him sign it. And I've met him twice at cons. He has been nothing but polite. I was wearing a Trump hat the one time. You know, I don't know what his politics are, but he was nothing but polite. He even made small talk about, the election's coming up, because it was a weekend right before the election. He's a highly professional guy. He seems like a stand-up guy in a lot of ways. But that article kind of pointed out that, hey, you know, your life can't just be like, look, I got every NES game. You know, we'll be jack shit. Half of them are unplayable. You know, yeah, you got Action 52. Oh, wow. You have a lot of fun playing fucking Action 52? No, you don't. So we were sort of talking about meaning a little bit. And there has to be, you have to have some meaning. And you're not going to find meaning. You might find truth in fiction. You know, you might find some truths, some greater truth to reflect upon. And you can certainly find entertainment, but you might find some real truth to reflect upon. You might find it provoke some interesting questions for you. Good fiction can do that. I don't know that Harry fucking Potter really does that much. But hey, you know, I certainly like my lowbrow fictions myself. You know, I sat here and analyzed some of the themes running through Spider-Man. I happen to think Spider-Man is several notches above Harry Potter, but that's subjective. Whatever. If you're able to glean some sort of fucking truth out of Harry Potter, you know, you see something I don't. That's for fucking sure. I never read the books. I saw the movies. I thought they were okay popcorn flicks. I enjoyed them all. I watched them all. But the interesting thing is, looking back, I couldn't tell you almost anything about them. I could tell you the overarching story through the whole fucking movies and a few key scenes that stuck in my head. But a couple of weeks ago, I flipped to the channels and found part of a Harry Potter movie and realized I didn't recognize this scene at all. I didn't know what movie this was. I didn't recognize any of it. I felt like a fucking Alzheimer's patient. I was like, I know I've seen this movie, and it's not ringing a bell for me at all. That's how just nothing those movies are, in my opinion. Again, I maybe the books have more depth, though I don't fucking know. But whatever, it's fiction, okay? Get from it what you can. Get entertainment if you can. Maybe scrape a bit of higher truth out of it if you can. But it's not a fucking religion, all right? It's not theology, all right? It's not the core quintessence of life. It's not real meaning. Now, I would argue that you're not going to find real meaning anywhere but Christ. But you're certainly not going to fucking find it in Harry goddamn Potter. And see, this is the kind of article where it's like, I'm not even mad at you fucking leftists at this point. I feel bad for you. I feel really fucking bad for you. The way I felt kind of bad for Pat reading this fucking article where he's, you know, where this thing that became his life, he now kind of hates. And it sort of comes back to fucking Wings of Redemption. This episode had an accidental theme. How the fuck about that? I didn't mean to do this, but it kind of had a theme. because Wings of Redemption devoted his entire life to playing shitty Call of Duty games that he loved for some stupid reason. Now he hates Call of Duty. He hates video games. He hates streaming. He hates his audience. He hates his fucking life. And now Pat the NES Punk, assuming this article is accurate, maybe this article just made him look bad. I don't fucking know. But it sounds accurate from the little bits I glean out of the podcast. Pat the NES Punk now can barely fucking stand Nintendo. It's just a fucking job to him. The passion is gone. And look, there's worse jobs than sitting on your fat ass playing Call of Duty. There's worse jobs than sitting in Pat's Punk. In Pat's case, he's actually in good shape. He does work out like a motherfucker. But sitting on your, shall we say, well-toned ass and talking about Nintendo. But there's still something really, really tragic about it. And I've had a taste of that in life. One of the jobs I had was I worked at Suncoast Videos for the Christmas season of 2004. It was fucking awful. It was terrible. It was one of the worst jobs I ever had. Not on a purely objective level. Like, I've had jobs where I've worked harder. I've had jobs where I was treated worse. I've had jobs where I both worked harder and was treated worse than that job. And yet, I guess I should say it was the most disappointing job I ever had. Because you go work at Suncoast, right? You're like, this will be fun. I'm going to be, working at a movie store, and I'm going to be selling people movies. And they're going to be asking me about movies. And I'm going to say, hey, this movie's good. It's going to be a fun on the bun, right? It was fucking terrible. It was fucking terrible. And I've told this story on here before, so forgive me if you've heard it. But I'll tell it again because it's pertinent. Or the Christmas season of 2004. I start early November, I think it was. And I worked right up until after Christmas. Anyways. And I was actually brought on as as extra staff during the Christmas season. And then they decided they weren't going to keep me on. So I wasn't officially fired. I was a temp that was let go. And I know why I was let go. Because I didn't meet the fucking magazine numbers. Magazine numbers? What's that, you say? Well, back then, that's when they started that gay-ass shit. When you're just trying to fucking buy a DVD or a T-shirt, or maybe you're into that gross Japanese candy and you're trying to buy that shit, and you go up to the counter and you just want to make your fucking purchase, and they harass you about getting the fucking club card, and would you like this stupid thing you don't want? Would you like that stupid thing you don't want? Can I have your phone number and your email address and your dick size and your social security number and all this other evasive shit? And you just want to make your purchase and leave. And it's all obnoxious and you hate it. And the guy behind the counter, he hates doing it, but he's got to do it. Anyways, one of the questions they would ask you, would you like 3 free weeks of Entertainment Weekly? Just sign here. Right here with this contract that fucking Mephisto is handing out. The problem with that, though, is that what's going to happen is you're going to forget to fucking cancel your 3 free weeks of Entertainment Weekly, and then you're going to get stuck paying for like 2-year fucking subscription to Entertainment Weekly. When who the fuck cares about Entertainment Weekly? Anyways, that was the thing I was really bad at asking, because I knew nobody wanted fucking Entertainment Weekly, and it's sleazy, and you're trying to trap people. All right? I was just bad at doing that. I just didn't fucking do it, basically. I was like, yeah, there's this Entertainment Weekly thing. We want to sign up for it, but I wouldn't. Like, that was me half the time,
Same to you. All right, Dan. Would you like to buy a subscription to Game Informer magazine while you're here? No, that's fine. I just hit up Costco and stocked up on all the toilet paper I'll need for a good 3 months, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyways, this lady comes to the counter. And again, this is Christmas season. People are Christmas shopping. She's picking up Spider-Man 2 on DVD, right? And I'm like, are you picking this up as Christmas present? Oh, yeah, my son's a big Spider-Man fan. I'm like, yeah, I'm a big Spider-Man fan myself. You know what he might really like? And I walk her over, right? Now, there weren't a lot of people in the store, so there wasn't a line behind her. So I could walk her over. I was like, take a look at this. And the 60s Spider-Man cartoon had just come out on DVD. And I said to her, like, this is great right here. See, this is almost never rerun on TV. Like, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I've never seen a full episode of this, In fact, I'm hoping Santa brings it to me. This is fantastic. He'll probably get a huge kick out of this. This was like a $50 box set, right? And she's like, oh, yeah, he'll love that. That's fantastic. So I took, what was it? Like, because DVDs were usually on sale the first week it came out. So it was like a $15 DVD. And then I added a $50 box set. I upsold her But I upsold her with a purchase she was happy with. That her son that she was going to get this for was going to be happy with, right? Well, she left out there, and the manager chewed me out for not getting her the Entertainment Weekly, not pushing the fucking magazine shit on her. I did an organic upsale of a reasonably pricey item that the customer was happy with, and that meant nothing to the manager. That's when I knew that job was not for me. That's when I stopped even trying on the fucking magazine subscriptions. I'm like, I'm not doing it. If I can get rid of me, I don't care. You know, it was literally like a side project. It was a side job I was doing in the evenings after coming home from my main job because I was really trying to save up money and shit at the time. So all that little sidetrack there, like I understand when a job is supposed to be awesome and it turns to shit. I understand the really bitter disappointment of that, albeit not to the same level that Wings of Redemption or Darkside Phil or even perhaps Pat the NES Punk might feel. But I've gotten a taste of that in life. Right? I get it. I know what that tastes like. I haven't drank as deep from the cup as you guys, but I know the taste. So yeah, you're not going to find meaning in so many of these things. There's a reason a lot of people end up depressed after a major victory in life. You know, the women will sometimes have postpartum depression after giving birth to a child. Professional athletes may win the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup or I don't know, whatever. What's the fucking NASCAR thing? Like the fucking whatever, the big thing. And then, you know, they go home and they're like, "Oh, is that it?" You know, it's just.
I'm always reminded of this one line by Ravi Zacharias when he was quoting some sort of author who said, "What's the one thing you wish you knew now, what you wish you knew then?" He said, "The one thing I know now, what I wish I knew then, is that when you get to the top, there's nothing there."
Yeah. So yeah, accidentally this show ended up becoming about meaning, which I suppose is fitting since it is the Holy Easter weekend. It's wonderful to have nice things. Okay, that's wonderful. I showed a picture of my my retro game collection on my bookshelf there. And I wouldn't say I'm proud of it, but I'm very happy. I'm very blessed to have these things, you know. It's a bunch of very cool games. You know, I got some cool little figures on the shelf next to them. It looks really nice. Got it laid out nice. You know, I'm very happy with it. I'm very blessed to have it. But you know what the thing about it is? It is one day that shit's going to be dust. All right? That shit's going to be dust. And probably well before it's dust, my ass is going to be dust. At least this body of mine. That's not where the meaning is, okay? It's nice to have nice things. And there are far too many Christians who want to climb up their own ass and they end up feeling guilty about, you know, indulging themselves ever. And that's almost, you know, the opposite of a heresy is usually also a heresy. Interestingly enough, in this world.
Should I meditate? Should I get rid of all my possessions?
Are you kidding? If anything, you should get more possessions. You don't even have a computer.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with having nice things. Some of us may be called to a more minimalist lifestyle, but not all of us. It's nice to have nice things. You know, there's that story in the Bible about the man who stowed away all this grain in these many, many barns and said, "Now I can rest." And, you know, this day your soul is asked of you, and, you know, all that grain does you no good. But the point of that story wasn't that he was wrong to store up this grain, but where he was wrong is that's all he did. And Pat the NES Punk sits in front of the most complete NES collection, as far as I know, that anyone has. and he doesn't even like playing Nintendo games anymore. How much must that suck? In some ways, that's a taste of hell itself. It was a Twilight Zone episode, I believe, and I've heard preachers use it as an analogy too. And I'm not saying it's an accurate representation of hell, but to some extent it is. Where the rich man dies, he goes to hell, and he's in this huge mansion where anything he wants, he's brought, is instantly brought to him. Whatever pleasure he can imagine. Well, as the eons go by, eventually he is so bored with it all, he says, "I'd rather you send me to hell." And the butler looks at him and says, "My dear boy, where did you think you were?" Because that's... Oh, go ahead.
I don't belong in heaven, see? I want to go to the other place.
Heaven? Whatever gave you the idea you were in heaven, Mr. Valentine? This is the other place.
God bless the Twilight Zone. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, nothing's going to satisfy you outside of God. The other stuff is nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice. It's nice. And God himself isn't against you having that necessarily. Okay. As I often like to say, why Christ made wine at the wedding? It's so people would have wine to drink. Because it's nice to drink wine at a wedding. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with having that huge NES collection behind you there, Pat. It's quite nice. But is that all you have? And again, I'm not throwing shade at Pat. This isn't an attack on Pat. I actually really like the guy's channel. He seems like a really cool guy. The amount of times I've, briefly met him. I mean, he wouldn't remember me. He's shaking a million hands. But, I'd love to have a beer with him sometime, all that good stuff. He seems super cool. But he also seems unhappy. Because, yeah, Nintendo games are fucking cool. They're great. They're fantastic. All right. And I love that I have a selection of them. And I hope, I love that I can have friends over and play them. And maybe one day I hope to have a son I can sit down and show these to and say that these are cool. You should check them out. But they're just games.
But man, you're never going to get any truth from us. We'll tell you anything you want to hear. We lie like hell. We'll tell you that Kojak always gets the killer and that nobody ever gets cancer in Archie Bunker's house. And no matter how much trouble the hero is in, don't worry, just look at your watch. At the end of the hour, he's going to win. We'll tell you any shit you want to hear.
And sorry, folks, I'm not reading the chat because I'm having a little error here. I can't actually see the damn thing. But
someone else has actually said that they can't see the chat either, but I'm seeing the chats right here.
Davis and Matt did a little stream earlier today where they were talking about they suspect YouTube is purposely putting some sand in the gears. Another interesting thing that's happening is if a stream goes over 2 hours, then initially when it's uploaded as a video, you only get the last 2 hours, right? So it's like cut off at the beginning, but then after a few minutes to an hour, you get the full thing. But now it's taking a full 24 hours for that full thing to happen. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Something shitty, I imagine. I really am thinking I might switch to Twitch, which rhymed, and I didn't mean it to rhyme, but so be it.
But we still have 7 minutes until our 2 hour hits. So everything we say, everything we said in the beginning will still be there.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I'm probably going to wrap this up. Well, here's the deal, folks. There ended up being an accidental theme to this episode. this Easter Eve episode, fittingly enough, as we sit here in the Saturday between Good Friday and Easter, and in a way we sit in the Saturday of history between Christ's resurrection and his second coming. But yeah, that theme is meaning. You're not going to find meaning in fucking Harry Potter. All right? You're not going to find meaning in works of fiction, period. You're not going to find meaning in collecting things. Those things may be entertaining. They may be fun. But they can't be the center of your life. And the interesting thing, like, the center of your life has to be God. And the nature of idolatry is to take take God out of that rightful spot and to put something else in it. And see, we have to have God there. That's the only thing that'll satisfy us. But we also don't want to have God there because God's big and scary. We wanted to put something more manageable in that spot. And you can put any number of things in that spot. You can put things that are very, very good in their own right. You can even put something like, say, tradition in that spot. You can worship tradition. You can make an idol out of tradition. You can make an idol out of the family. You can make an idol out of your race. And by the way, tradition and race, there certainly are a lot of people in the broader alternative right that seem to make idols out of one of those two things. Or sometimes even both. But the interesting thing about false gods is they always eat their worshipers. And whatever you take and you put in that spot that God is supposed to sit, however good that thing is in its own right, will become the most hideous version of itself. So you take NES games. NES games are fun. Oftentimes there were very brilliant art given the limitations that these programmers had to work with. And they're a golden age of or perhaps you could argue a silver age of a whole fucking genre of entertainment. But they don't belong in that spot. And when you put them in that spot, next thing you know, you have all the NES games and you don't even like them anymore. You can put tradition in that spot. You can put your race in that spot. You can put your family in that spot. You can put money, power, sex, pleasure, pride, anything else in that spot. And whatever you put in that spot is going to be a monster. And it's going to eat you.
Dr. Luther, relics are not an end in themselves. They're merely symbols of the holy men and women whose sanctity enables them to intercede in our behalf before God.
Symbols, it's true. But is the symbol replacing the meaning? Is the meaning itself lost? If it is, dear Vicar, and I say if, then we are lost and damned.
You're not going to find meaning in any of these things. And I'm not against any of these things. Obviously not. You saw my bookshelf full of games. I'm very happy with that bookshelf full of games. But it's not... It's not in the center. It's not in the center of my life.
In what God has done for him already through his Son.
Dr. Martin, if you leave the Christian to live only by faith, if you sweep away all good works, all these glorious things you dismiss as mere crutches, what will you put in their place?
Christ. Man only needs Jesus Christ.
So folks, tomorrow's Easter. I don't know what sort of plans you may or may not have. I don't know. You know, maybe you got young ones in your family. You'd be doing the whole Easter egg and Easter basket shit, whatever. Maybe you're going to have a big family dinner with ham or turkey or whatever you have. You know, tacos. I don't fucking know. You know, whatever. Whatever you want to have. Whatever you're doing tomorrow. Just remember that tomorrow is a celebration of the central aspect of human history, the pivot point, as it were. That's where you're going to find meaning. You're going to find meaning in what Easter is actually about tomorrow. You're not going to find it in anything else. And looking in anything else is going to leave you ultimately very unhappy. No matter how good that thing is in and of itself, in its rightful place. You make an idol out of it, and you'll make a monster out of it. So, folks, that's all we got for this week. I want to thank everybody for listening. I checked the PayPal just a minute ago. Nobody wanted to do a super chat sort of through that, and I understand. That's not convenient, but I just threw it out there as a possibility. If you do want to support this show, there is obviously the PayPal. You can make a regular one-time donation. There's the Patreon, where you can become a regular supporter. There's the Amazon wish list. A few people have already gotten me stuff off the Amazon wish list. That's greatly appreciated. I should also mention that anything that's gotten off my Amazon wish list that's some sort of media, in other words, a DVD or a book or a video game, I will review either in this live stream or possibly even do an animate review if I think I have enough material to talk about. Somebody already got me Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, which I've started reading. It's fantastic so far. I'll do a review in one of these live streams of it, possibly a live stream on Twitch. Who knows? Also, like I said, I may be moving to Twitch. I don't know. For now, Luke's channel is fine. Although who knows, that faggot that might try to report Luke. And I'm not going to let Luke go down with me. So if Luke gets reported, I might move on. I don't know. And also to the guy who reported me, I don't know, were you sticking up for Mike Enoch or something? Here's the thing, buddy. Like, I mean, you feel good about yourself there? You stood up for the honor of Mike Enoch, who was lying. It's pathetic enough to white knight for a woman, but at least, there's a natural instinct in a man that makes a man want to protect a woman. What are you protecting Mike Enoch for? He lied. And I established that he lied. You can come on here and explain how he didn't if you want. I mean, obviously you won't, but like, why? You need Jesus, my man. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, I ain't even mad at you right now. I'm feeling kind of sad for you, in all honesty. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Luke, thanks for hosting me on your channel. I appreciate it.
Always glad to help.
Folks, if you enjoy the show, like I said, you can check out the links below where you can become a supporter, or like, comment, and subscribe. And Luke needs more subscribers. Luke should probably have more subscribers than me. He puts more fucking work into this shit. Also, I'm on the Gab. You can follow me on the Gab. You can follow me on Facebook, the Bechtloff, on both those places. I would suggest doing so if you have either one of those social medias and you want to stay abreast of what's going on with me, because who the fuck knows? I'm currently in sort of exile. So I'm doing the best I can to keep the show going. If I couldn't keep the show going, I'd shut down the Patreon. I'm not spoony. I'm not going to take money for something I can't do or won't do. But yeah, we're looking into Twitch. As of right now, there's videos up on the BitChute channel. Also, check out the sponsors, Asshole Consulting and Steve's Jerky. That also helps the show. And Steve's Jerky is absolutely fucking fantastic, folks. So that's all we got for this week. I want to thank you all for listening. And for heaven's sakes, folks, have you heard of Jesus? And
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all we got for this week, folks. Luke, thanks for hosting us. And go ahead and shut her down. Shut it down.
And since we're on my channel, I'll end with my credits.
Don't forget to like or dislike this video, add it to your favorites, or share it if you really liked it. Leave a comment below. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Gab, AskFM, and Facebook. Subscribe and click on the bell to get future updates. And if you think my content is worth financial support, a donation to my Patreon is greatly appreciated. Until next time, take care and Godspeed.